Hello, and welcome to Andrew Broussard Watercolors. Today we're going to do a watercolor sketch of a drawing that I just did, just a quick sketch of a still life. It was just some ideas and thoughts in a previous video. That being said, we're also continuing our exploration of the Japanesque color. This is the Shadow Black set. My buddy got it for me off of Amazon. I think it's about $13–14. It's made by Boku Ondo, and we've been playing around with it and just having a lot of fun. It's a really cool set. That being said as well, kimcrick.com, when they reviewed these pigments for light fastness, found that the reddish black and the purplish black did not hold up to indirect sunlight during a 7-month experiment. So that's something to keep in mind. But these are very, very fun. The paper is some B paper that I had bought a long time ago when I first started watercolors. And we'll see how that goes as well. I just didn't want to grab some Stonehenge Aqua. It's kind of one of those days where I just want to, really just want to paint. I'm feeling a little boudet. There's a term down here. Cajun French. Boudet is when you're kind of just in a grumpsicle mood. When you're a Grumposaurus Rex. And I'm not quite sure why. I was laying down after work and I was like, I gotta get up and do some art, or I'm just gonna continue being in a bad mood. So anyway, so this one is gonna have a vase right here. Then it's going to switch over to an apple. That apple is going to sit in front. This is probably not the best brush to sketch with. This is the number 6. Number 6. Why can't I think of the name? Paul Rubin brush. Squirrel mop. Put a book right here. Not liking how tight everything is. Since we're just sketching, we'll see how flexible it is. So that'll be the goal of this video. Not only just looking at the tonal values, I'll see how flexible it is in regards to pushing back and forth. Whenever I sketch with a pencil, I really don't use an eraser at all. So, let's see if we can do something similar. And I don't usually sketch out what I plan on painting. I figured that would be fun. Okay, that is too round for an apple. It's turning into an orange. I find that apples have kind of a more bulkier top, kind of like the apple's been skipping leg day, so it's got broad shoulders. Remember, for an oil painting class years ago, when I was my undergrad, we had to paint an apple. And my professor, who was very blunt, and I think I've talked quite a bit about how I appreciated that aspect from him. This is going to be a skull right here. Some water going. He said it looked like it was deflated, the apple. I unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, don't have any skulls lying around. I've always wanted to pick up one of the fake ones, to paint from. So we had those in college. And actually, the school that I work with, we have a real skeleton for the biology classes. I don't know how the school came about getting that, but I think it's been there a very long time. I wanted to put something back here that would stop the eye from going off the page. I'll talk about the light traveling idea that I had when I was putting it together. I also actually have one of these the candle holders. Flea markets and antique shops are your best friend for objects for still lives. I just need to make some space to set one up and take a picture. It's kind of floating there. And I guess it would also light up the backside right here of the skull. Definitely this would be the darkest side. So the idea was light would come from this direction. It would hit the apple, it would hit the skull, so it would go across, and then the eye would come back up. I don't know if I stated the color that we're using. We're using the bluish black. If I recall, when we swatched it out, this one might have had some granulation in it. This is the binding side of the book. We'll get a little bit of water going. So the table is going to have some shadow from the book. Put in the table itself. We administered the ACT test at work today, and that was different. This time the ACT test was on the computer, so there was some stuff on my end as the administrator for the one room, opening, unlocking, making things available, and then just circulating and making sure, you know, kids weren't cheating or anything like that. But it's interesting how fast things are going in a technological direction in the school systems, and especially with the ACT, that probably really streamlines a lot of things with it. I've been teaching for I think 10 years now, so I probably have administered the ACT test for 10 years now, and there is, you know, a lot of reading, a lot of collecting things in certain order, maintaining test security and whatnot. Okay, one thing to point out here is as I'm putting this in, I'm lifting up pigment, so this one lifts quite easily. So it's, I guess you would say this is a non-staining pigment. Probably even scrub out. I probably even scrub out over here. Oh wow, yeah, this lifts up very easily. And if you'd recall at the beginning of the video, we talked about how I rarely erase with pencil, so you'll see me do it with watercolor sometimes with a paper towel. It might also be the paper as well. This is just kind of low quality mixed media B paper. No offense to the B brand or anything like that. It's just not my standard paint. In hindsight, putting that candle there, the light is going to be greatly affected by it, so maybe we should just have the candle snuffed out. Let's put the illusion of objects on this back wall. If you look at a lot of Van Gogh's flowers, he had very textured backgrounds. You can even get some of these lines to cross over. Boldini, with his portraits, had fantastic backgrounds. I think Anders Zorn did the same thing. Just a little hints and ideas of what was going on. So this pigment, or potentially just the paper, you see how easily it just keeps lifting. Let's do a dry off and we'll play with a different brush on top of it. I'm gonna pause the camera. Okay, so I'm gonna tape down these two corners. It's not too much of an issue, but I'll just get that down. We'll switch brushes. This is, I don't know, let's see. Let's go with the number 6, Silver Black Velvet. I don't use it nearly as much as I should. Just like Hammy shouldn't be climbing on that. Right, Hammy? Okay. I want something that's going to make my expressive marks. We're looking for our tonal depth that we can achieve. The wet washes really have a nice smoothness to them with a little bit of granulation. Sometimes it becomes too easy to just start drawing things in. Do a little bit of negative painting out here to create this outside shape. To leave that area white. Let's move here, that inner book binding. It's gonna be my darker spot. That's the cover of the book, so the edge. It's going to have that thickness to it. The texture of the paper, even little lines. There we go. This one wants to push on more of an angle. So it'll come right down there. Perspective is not the best on the book. That needs to probably come down. And we'll just scrub and see how that handles. Just carry that throughout. It seems like all that's going to do is just help that white pop even more. So I am all for that. All right, let's move over to an apple that is looking like a peach. Bring that shadow out. The book of the shadow of the book. It's weird how matte some of it is drying. And there's those little lines that connect the skull. That is not little. There's that indentation on the side. And the jaw comes down. There we go. And we could do a little script on the book. Let's pause and see where we're at. I'm not sure if it's a black watercolor or a black ink that's water soluble within these pigments, within these pans, but it is really starting to show through in this one. And I'm enjoying that. That's really making these pans unique, that aspect. I don't want that shape to be too curvy there. You could probably have some, let's have some brushes just pop up out of it. Because everybody has a container with brushes, right? I actually have a, I guess it'd be like a cream milk server that has my brushes. Which I've been drinking a lot of tea, I mentioned that. And I like to add half and half to it. But the brush holder is going to stay in here. It's not going to see any cream, unfortunately. Let's let a dark shadow push this guy forward. We'll see how that dries. A little bit too much on that hinge of the jawbone, but like I said, it's been a few years since I've painted a skull or drew a skull or anything. Get a little bit more expressive marks. This will probably be the last fiddling. Let's make sure we know that this is an apple. All right, let's try it off and see how it looks. Okay, there we go. A few things. We have an interesting just composition with the direction of light and the movement. There are obvious perspective issues. With, first of all, the book. The apple is going to be technically as large as the skull because of its size being recessed like that. It should be a lot smaller. And I should have done a lit candle and maybe had the objects accepting the light from that. All that being said, looking at the paint itself, the Japanesque pans, I continually happy with them. This one, really nice. This is the bluish black, then it has the very dark blacks with the slight blue with it. So I hope you enjoyed. Please like, subscribe, follow. You are always welcome to follow with any of these paintings. If there's ever anything you follow along with, you are more than welcome to sign your own name to, and you have my express permission to sell anything that you do when you follow along with one of these. I want you all to be successful and have fun. If you want to donate to this channel, I have a whole bunch of links below. I will be back soon with more painting and art videos. Have a great day.